I think we just have to try to go for the Hive Mind kill here, actually. Sadly, we can't do it all in one turn thanks to this Archon, but it lets us win the game this very upcoming turn, so... Alright, here it is, the first potential Hive Mind kill on the channel. Let's see if we can manage to survive. Hello and welcome, guys. We are here for match 5 with the list you see on screen, currently undefeated. A little bit of pressure here, not gonna lie. I'd like to 5-0 with this list and put some Hive Minds in MTG Goldfish, but who knows what'll happen. We're already doing well enough on our own here with 4 wins, so if we end up 4-1, maybe that'll be a little disappointing from the standpoint of getting a list like this posted, but regardless, I still can't complain. We will have gotten more than our value's worth out of this list, and we also got to see some interesting card choices in action, including Chalice of the Void. And if you want to know more about that, then wait until the end of this match, where I'll go over my thoughts on the list, potential changes and takeaways from the list. But yeah, for now, let's just jump straight into the match. Alright, deck, this is our last chance to get a win with Hive Mind. Let's see it happen. Come on. Hive Mind and Summoner's Pact combo. Or Slaughter Pact, or Pact of Negation. I'll take any of those. But we gotta do it. We gotta get our opponent. Alright, let's hop on in here. What is the final pairing on the play, which is a great sign, playing against Zeus 87, and we do have a Hive Mind here. Don't have a bounce land. We get to play a turn 1 Amulet. If we top deck a bounce land, we can play turn 2 Dryad and turn 3 Hive Mind. So top decking bounce land into a Pact would be a potential win. If we don't find a bounce land, we can always find a Garenbrig that'll help us cast a Titan, but we'd have to find a Titan also. I think this hand is pretty clearly a keep regardless, though, so I'm going to go ahead and keep it. And it's not clear what the fetch should be, or if we should just play Mine on one. I don't want to lose the counters on the Mine, so I think I'm going to play out the Windswept here. And I think in the blind, I'd rather just get a Forest. If we're playing at something aggressive, then this will be a good line, and otherwise we have these 2 lands here to potentially produce the blue that we need. If our Dryad doesn't survive, we can play the TWest, float a blue with it, and then pick it up with a bounce land, so might be okay. We're playing against an Aether Vial deck, so maybe some Leonin Arbiters that we'll have to be thinking about. I guess we're just going to throw this Valcut into play and pass. I don't love exposing it to a potential Ghost Quarter / Field Ruin effect, but we don't really have a choice here, so... See if our opponent is on more of a value-oriented ETB effect kind of deck, or taxes, and we do see Leonin Arbiter, so definitely a taxes strategy. We have the Titan, but actually getting there is going to be part of the problem here. If we play a 3-drop, then we just let our opponent Field Ruin us, so we probably can't let that happen, so I guess we're just playing out the TWest and passing it back and holding up our mana to pay for a Field Ruin. If they have a second Arbiter, then that just sucks for us, I guess. We'll play the slow game here, though. We can be a little patient. Vial up to 2. So a second Arbiter would mean that we have to pay for both Arbiters in order to be able to search for the Field of Ruin. Skyclave on the Amulet. Well, this is why we played out our ETB tapped land. Yep. Yeah, and we might just have to play a land and pass back here again so that we can play around this field. Castle, which means we can, this upcoming turn, cast a Titan if we want to. Although just putting the Titan into play may not necessarily be good enough. I think it's actually would be better for us to draw another land here so that we could play Dryad after playing a land, and play another land immediately after, and be able to get a Valkyrie trigger while still being able to search to these Ghost Quarter / Field Ruin effects. So, not under the super fastest clock here, although it definitely will add up if we don't start doing something relevant soon. So, land off the top, I think, is our best option here. Particularly a Valakut or a Vesuva would be nice. That said, our opponent could still have Path for the Dryad, but at least we can pay to search, so land. Well, I mean, that works. Alright, so we're going to play our Garenbrig here, and play a Dryad here, and play a Rot Farm, and get rid of this Arbiter while we can, potentially. Ooh, they're flashing a 3-mana spell here. Archon. Yeah, that's fine. Doesn't really change anything. We'll Rot Farm and send a Valakut trigger here, stacking the Rot Farm on the bottom so that we have 6 lands in play when this Valakut trigger resolves. Alright, so in response to this, we need to pay for our opponent's Arbiter, and we don't have to use a counter from our Gemstone Mine thanks to the Dryad ability. Alright, let's search. This is actually going to give us another Valka trigger as well, so interesting choice. This is the rewards that you get for playing patiently. Alright, let's search again. We don't have another basic land! Oh no! This is the worst timeline! Okay, well, now none of our Valka triggers get to resolve because of the fact that we're splashing for Hive Mind, so that's definitely a strike against Hive Mind, I would say. And I guess we're just picking up the Forest and passing it back. We still have 6 mana for Titan, so not the hugest deal. If we top deck a Summoner's Pact, we can play the Forest and cast the Pact and just kill our opponent on the spot. Although I guess they would still resolve the Pact, I think, but not be able to search for it. So I think they would still have to pay for the trigger, even if they didn't search, thanks to the Arbiter. Oh, actually, I guess we can't play Hive Mind and Pact in the same turn. I guess we'd have to... I was going to say Pact during their turn, but that wouldn't work, because then we just have to pay for our own Pact before they have to pay for theirs. Another Arbiter, okay. No Ghost Quarter, no Ghost Quarter. Don't do it. Okay, they don't have the Ghost Quarter. So it seems. Activate Vial. Flicker us probably on our bounce land to make us pick up another land. Oh, they flickered the Skyclave. Okay. I mean, I guess that makes sense. They might be scared of us drawing a Valcut, for example. We're under a very fast clock here, though. If we block one of these 2 power creatures, we'll be taking 6, 7, 8, 9. There's our Summoner's Pact. I think we just have to try to go for the Hive Mind kill here, actually. I think it's our best choice. Sadly, we can't do it all in one turn thanks to this Archon, but it lets us win the game this very upcoming turn, so... Alright, here it is. The first potential Hive Mind kill on the channel. We'll see if we can manage to survive. You have to kill us this turn, opponent. That's what we're telling you. And I don't think a Titan would have been good enough to win in this spot thanks to the Flyers. So I think this is an example of a kill sequence, assuming that it works out, that Titan would not have allowed us to accomplish, so... We just need to untap with this Hive Mind and we're good. Block. I will block. Oh man, I'm anticipating this. I think we actually have the win here. They can't even get rid of the Hive Mind with like a effect from like a Skyclave Apparition because it only hits mana cost 4 or less. So I think we just win with the Summoner's Pact. Come on, let us untap, opponent. Let us untap. Let us untap. Yes! Cast Summoner's Pact? Oh, would you like to cast a Summoner's Pact too? Wow, look at that. You can't even search, but yeah, you get to lose though. Oh my. Oh my. Your go, opponent. Let's see the 2 green and 2 of any color. You got it? No? You don't have to search. You just have to stack the pack trigger. Stop slow rolling us. Give us the victory. Come on. Oh yeah. Definitely don't think that Titan could have won us that game. So the Hive Mind looking quite nice there. Chalice not looking great against the opponent with Aether Vial, I would say. Explosives looking good. Dismember and Rex Sage looking quite good. Force could be good if our opponent has Stoneforge Mystic, which I feel like they probably will, so I am comfortable bringing it in. Ghost Quarter I'm not a huge fan of. Let's see, we can cut the Pact of Negation and the Bajuka Bog for sure. Hive Mind kill just got us there. It's actually pretty nice to be able to just go Hive Mind, cast a Summoner's Pact, and win immediately without having to even be able to search, thanks to our opponent's Leonin Arbiters cutting us off from that. So I actually kind of think Hive Mind might be good in this matchup, but it's not 100% clear. It's also reliant on us having one of these packs. Or a TWest, I suppose. I don't know. It's interesting. I guess we can trim the cavern. I don't like the idea of trimming a grazer. Maybe one, but grazer is pretty good here. It does some blocking, and it gets a land out of our hand early enough that we can start playing around Arbiter sooner. I think I like grazer. Maybe we could trim an amulet to play around Ghost Quarter effects, as playing a bounce land into a Ghost Quarter effect is kind of weak, but I don't know. Maybe trimming an amulet's crazy. Maybe it's not. That also gets hit by Skyclave Apparition, so amulet's not really fantastic here. I think I'm okay with trimming one amulet, just as a experiment here, and maybe one Summoner's Pact, as we won't always have the Hive Mind, and our opponent will sometimes have Leon and Arbiter. So, and the other thing I'm thinking about is maybe cutting a bounce land. That doesn't seem very good, though, to be honest. You know what? Actually, I think trimming the second fetch land is a good idea to play around Leon and Arbiter as well, so... Alright, here we go. In fact, the only reason we couldn't find our basic there is because not only did we fetch it up in the first turn, but also we had a fetch land in the first place to have to go looking for a land, rather than just having an untapped source. So, this hand is a obvious mulligan. This hand is not fantastic. I think it's a mulligan too. Yep. Alright, this hand is better, I suppose. We'll keep. Get rid of the force, I suppose. And one of these lands, probably. The Valcut, maybe, although it's good to have naturally with a Dryad, so... Could be the breeding pool as well. If we keep these lands, we'll be able to potentially transmute TWest. The breeding pool is an untapped source as well. Opponent says that Hive Mind was nice. Hee. Yeah, it was pretty good. I think it's supposed to be the Valcut. I kind of hate it. When we top deck our Dryad, we're going to be very upset, but... Our opponent's asking if Hive Mind is new in the deck. I will tell you guys before I tell them, Hive Mind is very old tech, since the very first Pro Tour that Amulet was ever played in. Alright, well, I think we just lead out on our tap source here. We can shock in a breeding pool if we need to, in order to cast explosives, say on 2 or something, but... I mean, getting our TWest in play is actually not that great either, because it does expose it to Field of Ruin type effects, but also means that we'll have to play out a bounce land to pick it up, so that's kind of strange, but... Do we play out the Garandrig here? I suppose we probably need to play around our opponent flashing in an Arbiter with a Vial and being able to Field of Ruin us, so we're just going to play Breeding Pool Shocked and pass here. Play around the stuff. If our opponent flashes in an Arbiter here, then it will have been well worth it. Just play an Archon, that's fine. We have methods to beat that one, if it wasn't obvious from game 1 here. Well, we could play Azusa and try to speed past our opponent's land disruption. Play Garandrig, Azusa, Growth Chamber, pick up a land. Second Growth Chamber, maybe. I guess if we keep a Growth Chamber in hand, then if we top deck an Amulet, we could potentially cast Titan. We could also just play Garandrig and pass, and again hold up mana for a potential Leonin Arbiter. It's starting to get dicey, though. I still kind of feel like playing around Arbiter, but they haven't flashed it in just yet. If we play into the Arbiter and get one Growth Chamber taken care of here, then we'll still have the 3 mana with Garandrig and then a Growth Chamber ready to go to give us the double green and 4 mana to activate Garandrig. So it's not really the end of the world if we get fielded once, but it's not really great for us either. We're not going to play Azusa into Titan. Oh, never mind. We can't play Azusa here anyways, thanks to the Archon forcing the Garandrig to enter tapped. That's a line of text on this card that I always forget about. Non-basic lands your opponent's control enter the battlefield tapped. So, I guess playing around Arbiter is the move here. That's fine, though. Yeah, there's definitely a lot of reasons to play extra basic lands in Amulet, and playing extra color here definitely makes it harder to play a high number of basic lands. I like even as many as 5 or 6 forests in the deck. This list is only playing 2, so it's definitely a little bit weak in that regard. They're just going to go ahead and fire off a field. That's fine, I suppose. If they had left Vial on too, I guess it would have been right to float the mana in response so that they couldn't respond to their own field with a Vial putting in Arbiter, something like that. So, okay, they're putting in a 3-drop again. Flicker Wisp this time. Flickering the Garenbrig. That's fine, I suppose. We won't have a Garenbrig in play during our turn, but Gemstone Mine is a good one. We could just YOLO and Explosives on 3 here. Our opponent could Skyclave Apparition it. If they played Arbiter, they could get exactly 1 free Field Rune activation, but I think we're just playing into the Skyclave here. I did the same thing. I forgot about the Archon. I really need to get that in my head. It doesn't matter. Playing a bounce land wouldn't have been that great there either, I don't think so. Although we do have a basic land to pick up, so we can play around the Archon tapping our lands. Try not to forget that this time. I mean, we're on the slow grind of a clock here. I guess if our opponent fields our Gemstone Mine, we won't be able to Explosives on 3. They field the Garenbrig. Sure. Basic land. So we can Explosives on 3. If we draw an untapped source, like, I guess there's no untapped source we could draw that would allow us to do another field activation. Yeah, I guess they know that we don't have any more basics to search for. Definitely getting punished for only playing 2 basics in this list. Now we basically just have to slam Azusa and hope it's good. I mean, they're going to be able to field one of our growth chambers and go from there anyways, so. Ooh, they flicker one of our forests as well. Yeah, we might just be getting, you know, taxed this game, I suppose you could say. Do we play the Explosives at all? I think playing Explosives on 2 is not a bad idea. We're not going to be getting the additional colors of mana anytime soon, so let's just play out the Explosives, use our mana while we can, as obviously we haven't been doing anything so far. We'll pick up the basic forest, so it will enter untapped, and play around our opponent's Archon, and we'll pass it back and see what we can manage here. Definitely, only playing 2 basics makes this matchup a lot harder, though. I'm used to being able to play around Arbiter indefinitely with 4 copies of basic force in the deck, basically never running out of fetchable targets, but that is not the case here. And we're probably just dead. There goes the field, which we have nothing to search for, because we're playing only 2 basics. And it's probably game 3. Yep. Alright. So, in light of the fact that we need to be able to put a bunch of bounce lands and play and untap them to actually get up to 6 mana, quite potentially, definitely think the 4th Amulet is going to be extremely necessary here. And trim one more Summoner's Pact. And maybe we don't need the Hive Minds, especially with only 3 packs in the deck, so I think trimming Hive Minds and the Slaughter Pact, Slaughter Pact might be alright. It's debatable. We can get the Cavernous Souls back in here, and I guess a couple Tireless Trackers, so that we have threats to play underneath our opponent's Disruption. Do we even want Slaughter Pact? Because we only have the 4 Gemstone Mines and 1 Rot Farm to pay for the black, so it could be a liability more so than a help. I think trimming the Slaughter Pact is a good idea. And I guess we just want the Ghost Quarter. Debatable. I guess the Ghost Quarter is fine, though. Probably better than a second Force of Vigor, I think. We'll be on the play, which definitely helps. Get a turn 1 Grazer kind of hand. We have Explosives, we have a threat, and we have Rex Sage to deal with a potential Aether Vial, so I think we definitely keep this. And we're probably going to Forest and then Vesuva copy Forest, so we can play Rex Sage or Tracker on turn 2 if we want to. Or I suppose Explosives. Opponent mulligans 6. Well, we'll lead on this Grazer. See if the God of Thunder over there can do us some damage as early as turn 1. We'd like them to play turn 1 Vial. That's what we'd like to see here. Whenever you want them to have the turn 1 vial, they always have the giver instead. Are we just slamming tracker? I think so. Because if we top deck any land, which we're hoping to do anyways, then we'll be able to draw a card from the tracker, and this lets us get 1 turn with tracker guaranteedly in play before they can Skyclave Apparition it. So now is the best time to be able to draw a card from our tracker if we can manage to top deck the land that we're looking for. A bounce land would probably be the best thing. Revoker. Interesting. Probably naming explosives, I would think. Yep, naming engineer explosives, so that one's dead. I guess we can actually Rex Sage the Revoker, though, so... We're about to go down to 1 counter on our Gemstone Mine, so we really need to find a, I guess this actually doesn't work, right? The Giver of Runes. I don't know what I'm doing. Yep. It's alright. We didn't have another target for the Rex Sage anyway, so you might as well put the 2/1 body in play. I think maybe we swing with the tracker anyways. If they want to trade the Revoker, that's... Oh! Protection from green. I am being dumb today, dude. My dog woke me up at 6 a.m. and I've been up since then. Why did I do that? Goodbye chances. Archon. Okay. Well, we could still top deck a bounce land to go along with the Amulet and maybe do some cool stuff. Second explosives to rub salt in the wound. Nice, nice. Let's not swing our 3-drop into our opponent's Giver of Runes protection again. Cannot believe I did that. Skyclave, sure. It's okay. I don't think we would have gotten value from our tracker anytime soon then. Because they probably would have hit the tracker with this Skyclave anyways. So, not denied the card from it, potentially. That actually makes me feel a little bit better about the play. Although now if we top deck a bounce land, it'll be still a little worse, but... Well, they do us the favor of replacing our Gemstone Mine here with a better land. Valcut. I guess we go ahead and play that one out and just pass it back. Yeah, there's no point in playing explosives on a 1. All it would do is get rid of our opponent's givers, so... Alright, well, we'll block the Archon for sure. I don't think it's worth throwing a Reclamation Stage under the bus to our opponent's giver protection, so... Stronghold. We could hold this in case we draw a Dryad. We could even pack for Dryad, potentially. We can't play it in the same turn thanks to the Archon, but... let's just play out the Stronghold, since it's going to enter tapped anyways. Opponent's sacrificing Chefette Dunes. Reasonable. See if they just send with everything. They don't attack with the giver, of course. I mean... Yeah. I kind of feel like we need to block now. Unfortunate as it is. I suppose this allows us to draw a Forced Vigor to hit the Revoker. I think I'm sending the Grazer under the bus too. I don't know. If we take 6 now down to 6, the next turn we can block 2. So it's... And then the turn after block 2 more, and that might be good enough. I think maybe we're supposed to not block with the Grazer. Alright. Of course, they give pro-green here. So now a Force of Vigor is a live top deck. There we go. Definitely played around that one. So let's kill this right now. And pass it back. Obviously not attacking with Grazer here. This one's down to the wire. We can't explosives on 3, sadly. Another Chef at Dunes? Yikes. Well, if our opponent just attacked with everything, we would block one of the 3-power creatures and go down to 1. So, man, I guess we were lucky to top deck that Force. Otherwise, we'd just be straight up dead. But I don't know what gets us out of this. I guess a Gemstone Mine lets us play and pop explosives. But then we'd just be dead to the Giver of Runes attacking for 1. I don't know if there's anything that gets us out of this. Alright, let's block the Archon, I do suppose. Radiant Fountain. Well, we can't play and pop explosives. If we summon his pact, we can't cast anything off of it immediately thanks to the Archon. Close, but not quite. Yeah, that's just game. Oh well. I don't know if the misplays in this match actually led to anything changing about the match. Well, at least we got a Hive Mind win, and that was pretty cool. And now to give some thoughts on the deck list. We didn't really get to play Hive Mind a whole lot. We did get 1 win in this match, obviously, and then we played previously against Tron, and Hive Mind would have been a game-winning top deck. That said, I think that the deck really incentivizes you to play out your Sonus packs when it's most convenient. It's like sometimes packing for a 3-drop in order to play lands to get ahead is something that you do. Sometimes you need to pack for Titan and cast it, and that leaves you with nothing to do with your Hive Mind if you draw it, which can be awkward. And Hive Mind definitely doesn't really help with the mulligans, as it kind of is like a bit of a standalone card. It doesn't really necessarily fit the plan, but I don't know. I feel like maybe it could use some more testing. Also, maybe I should side out Hive Mind a lot less when I haven't played it. I sided it out against some aggressive, like, burn strategies, just on the premise that Hive Mind is a 2-card combo, and we could potentially be doing something a little more efficient just by trying to get Titan into play. And maybe that has merit, I don't know. We would have to test it out to see, but definitely siding out the Hive Minds doesn't give us a room to test the Hive Minds. So if I do another league with Hive Mind, which I very well may, then perhaps we will institute the rule that we cannot shave Hive Mind under any circumstances. I'm not sure that the Slaughter Pact is necessarily worth it, especially when we're not splashing black already. Also, another basic force seems pretty mandatory just from this match, but also from the standpoint that we need to be able to play around our opponent's Blood Moons and stuff, and having Windswept Teeth is nice, but having an actual forest would be nice as well. Windswept Teeth, on the other hand, does double as a blue source with the ability to fetch Breeding Pool, so we could fix for Hive Mind, but I think we could trim a Garenbrig, perhaps, as this list is not super well suited for Garenbrig to play another forest. I also do think perhaps we could cut the Slaughter Pact, play a Sanctuary over the Rot Farm, and get an extra slot that way. Not 100% sold. Slaughter Pact does seem like it could potentially help against the Heliod decks of the world, or it wouldn't be great against Death Shadow. And to be honest, even against Heliod, they could potentially combo off in response. So, actually, I'm not even a huge fan of Summoner's Pact. I mean, not Summoner's Pact, Slaughter Pact. Despite the fact that Hive Mind potentially lets us win with Slaughter Pact, there are many decks that can pay a single black, and it doesn't seem like that big of a deal, even if our opponent just had a Birds of Paradise, for example. So I don't think that playing Slaughter Pact just for the Hive Mind combo is going to be relevant. I think more often than not, it's going to be a dead card. And instead, I think I would get at least 1 copy of Explorer in here. Maybe even the 4th Hive Mind, I don't know. Yeah, I'm going to go with the Explore for now. Perhaps a Hive Mind would work, but do you think that we should be playing the 4th Hive Mind? Let me know. But what else? I felt like we had blue pretty consistently. Gemstone Mine's definitely overperformed in my opinion. And that very last game we just played, that was the only situation where realistically losing our Gemstone Mine due to tapping it several times actually would have come into play. Many other times it's easy to just avoid using the Gemstone Mine or tap it with a Dryad ability or things like that. And when we lost our Gemstone Mine before just activating Garenbrig to cast Titan, it wasn't really a big deal. We actually could also just use the cut to make room for the second Garenbrig. As I like Castle Garenbrig in general, and we are playing quite a number of forests here to be able to have Garenbrig enter untapped, which is quite relevant. Garenbrig goes well with Azusa as well. Also, one big elephant in the room that I should address is the Chalice of the Voids in the sideboard. This has been one that I've tested not only in this league, but also in some personal playtesting of mine, just playing matches on my own, and I found Chalice to be interesting. It's hard to evaluate when the card is good, because you don't really see any effect of it. You just know that your opponent has cards in hand, and they're choosing to do other things with their mana oftentimes. Like, for example, in the match we played against Boros Prowess, our opponent just put Lurrus into their hand during that turn, and who knows, maybe they would have done that anyways despite the Chalice. I highly doubt that, but it's one of those cards where it's difficult to evaluate unless you know the effect it's having on your opponent's side of the table, because you don't really see the effect. So, that said, I think that Chalice is very strong. I think that if you want a card that's good in the Prowess matchup specifically, Chalice is a good choice. I also think that Chalice doubles as a pretty decent threat against the control decks. Being able to slam it on 2 in order to counter their Mana Leaks, Aether Gusts, Snapcaster Mages, that kind of thing. Even like Drown the Lock, for example, sees some play. 2 is definitely the most relevant number against those control decks, and you would think that the deck playing Summoner's Pact would not want to be playing Chalice, but the fact is you're almost never going to put Chalice on 0 anyways, like opponents would do against you. Instead, you're putting Chalice on 1, because the only 1-drops that you play that matter, you want out on turn 1 and don't really care for after that anyways. Like, I suppose if you drew an Amulet after playing Chalice on 1, you'd feel a little bad about it, but the chances are that Chalice on 1 is doing much more work than a single Amulet would have. So, and you can also just get your land drops in play and get to Titan the natural way, especially without fear of things like Fatal Push and Bolt. It'll let you get full value from your Zeusas and Dryads and stuff like that. So I think that Chalice of the Void has a lot of potential, and I definitely would consider playing it in my sideboards moving forward. In fact, I'll probably continue to test it, and you can see the results here on the channel as the newer videos start coming out. But, yeah. Shame that we couldn't have gotten the 5-0, and definitely sometimes I need to focus a little more, but what can I say? We still got our value. We got our 4-1, and I'm pretty happy with that. Let me know if you test out Hive Mind in your Amulet lists and how that goes for you. And also let me know if you would like to see another Hive Mind League in action. That's all I'm going to say for this video. Thank you for watching. I'll see you guys in the next league. This is Redface Menace, signing off.